Hello and welcome back to another episode of Distro Drag, the show where we put different distros head to head against each other and see which one is the fastest right out of the box. We are on to round 3. Today we're going to look at a Fedora family feud. Nobara and Bazzite. These are pretty much the only gaming based Fedora distros that I know of, at least, or that are mostly popular. Nobara obviously being from the creator of glorious egg roll, Proton, and Bazzite just being the immutable distro, which is safe for newbies and handhelds. So we're going to see how these compare against each other and see who goes on to the next round to fight for the best distro. So like always, our first benchmark is going to be Cyberpunk 2077 rasterization. If we have a look at Nobara, we are getting around 197 max and 195 for Bazzite, with an average of 157 for Nobara and 155 for Bazzite, with the lows of 130 for Nobara and 127 for Bazzite. So a pretty clear, consistent winner for Nobara in rasterization. Now, if we have a look at the ray tracing results, you can see that the gap starts to close down, where Bazzite actually has a slight edge on Nobara in the max frame. But if we look at the average frame rate again, Nobara takes the edge with 0.2 of a frame faster. With these kinds of frames, it's pretty much run-to-run variance. If I look at my 3-run differences, the frame rates are pretty much the same, so you're not going to see a difference. On to Black Myth Wukong. We see a pretty similar result where Nobara is just edging out Bazzite when it comes to the lows, and pretty much the same when it comes to the averages, so not much of a difference over there. And then finally the Dirt Rally, the one that seems to have the biggest spectrum of performance when it comes to the distros. We can see that our max frame rate for Nobara is just significantly higher consistently, but the surprising one was the lows. And I'm reading off my notes that I took for the different runs, and with Bazzite, my lows were almost always about 70, 78. I had one where I could get it to 101, but they were pretty consistent around 70, high 70s, hence the 73 minimum, where Nobara was always hitting high 180s, 170, as you see. So that's just a clear winner for Nobara over Bazzite. Once again, I'm not sure what's happening there. It could be the scheduler, could be the kernel, could be a combination of both of them. I guess we'll only know once we're able to start digging into the different types of schedulers, but this seems to be a pretty good test for me, at least, to see what distro is going to be, better for even older games or ones that are pushing high frame rates. And I don't want to be getting stutters at 70 frames per second. So yeah, the results are what they are. Let's go look at the summary and see, but I'm pretty sure we can see where this is going. Nobara takes a clear win with 181 average highs versus 175 for Bazzite, 141 average versus 135 for Bazzite, and then with a clear win in the minimums, 101.4 for Nobara and 76.3 for Bazzite, looking at our aggregate minimum. So yeah, Nobara is just obviously going to be a better performance, I think, on desktop and newer hardware, more powerful hardware. And I think that's pretty clear when we see in Dirt Rally, when we're pushing 300 frames per second. I think Bazzite is probably more tuned and suited for handouts, trying to save power or go in standby mode, or just not be as an aggressive high power draw, which you can get on a desktop. Regardless, I'm looking at a desktop distro that performs the best, and Nobara seems to be better than Bazzite when it comes to that. So that is going to go on to the next round. So yeah, that is it for round 3. Stay tuned for round 4 tomorrow, and we're going to be putting some OpenSUSE distros against each other. If you like this, hit like. If you dislike it, hit dislike, and tell me which distro you think is actually going to win the series or become the fastest out of the box, easiest experience for the noob coming from Windows wanting to game on his PC. Anyway, I'll see you guys later.